Now, what I want you to do is to solve this question. Just looking at this particular image and information right here. Once you're able to do that, please make sure that you come back and you play this video and see how the answer looks like. Now, first is this. We need to be able to address the following things in terms of what are this particular information that is given for this particular rod. And the first information here is this. This here is the measurement of the diameter of the specific rod. Next is you're given the density, because why? The unit is grams per centimeter cube. And once you're able to have that density highlighted, the next here is what is M. M is represented as a mass based on the unit that is given right here. Now the question says that what is the length of this particular rod? And once you're able to also adjust the orientation, this is also equivalent to saying what is the height of the rod. Now, in order for we to solve this question, we have to first look at how to gather this information that is given here and transform it to a specific variable that connects this to this particular dimensions of the rod. And in this case here, what we need to realize is that density relates our mass to what? The volume. And we know that the volume here, when we want to solve for it, this here is equal to the mass over the density. Therefore, once we have this particular ratio, we can now solve for the volume. And we know that the mass here first is what? 1.50 kilograms. However, what happens is that when we are multiplying by our 1 over the density, there is a problem here because there is a disagreement between the mass value unit and that of the density mass unit. In this case, we have kilograms and we have grams, so we have to convert these kilograms to grams. And now for we to accomplish that, we need our scale factor, which is 1000 grams, and this is equal in terms of equivalence to what? 1 kilogram. And so once we have this, our next part is to multiply this by 1 over the density. And we know the density numerator is 7.85 grams. And we have the denominator, which is now the numerator here, to be centimeter cube. So now we have this, we can now eliminate the unit for the mass, and that will go to leave us with the unit for volume. So our kilograms cancels out our kilograms, mass cancels out our grams, and we're left with what? 1.5 times 1000, which in this case, by doing this with our calculator, we're going to move our decimal points 3 steps to the left, but here moving it to the right. Therefore, we have 1500 in this case multiplied by 1 over 7.85, and this here is the unit, centimeter cube, on your calculator. Once we do this, we have 1500 divided by 7.85. This gives us our value in fraction. We're just going to change this right away to what? Decimal. And this here is a repeating decimal, but we'll just keep it short. 191.0828. Take note that this is repeating, so we can just put a bar above it, and this here unit is in centimeter cube. Now we have this, we're going to use our volume to determine what the length or the height of this particular shape rod is. Now looking at this rod here, the shape is what? A cylinder. And once we know that it is a cylinder, we need to use something known as volume of a cylinder to extract the length of the rod. Now the volume of a cylinder states that it is equal to pi radius squared multiplied by the height. This height here, take note, is equivalent to the length, and our radius can be transformed from the diameter. Since we know that our diameter is equal to 2 times the radius, that means that our diameter that is given to be what? 1 inch. We are going to convert it to the radius, and the radius here is equal to 1 over 2 inch, or half an inch. And once we have this highlighted, take note also that we have a disagreement between the centimeter and that of the inch. And now for we to accomplish this, let's set this up in a way that we are going to have our unknown to be the subject of the formula, which is a L. And so this here states that the L, which is the length of the rod, is equal to the volume divided by our pi times the radius squared. We know our volume to be what? This particular number, 191, and we'll just go to stop there because we don't want to keep all those decimal. But to be honest, when we are doing this in chemistry, we should be able to keep those numbers, but just go to round to the nearest whole number, and in this case here in centimeter cube. Take note here that the next part is going to be a lot of numbers to consider. First is, we know that our pi is equal to 3.14. we're just going to stop there, and this here is what multiplied by what? Our half an inch, and a half an inch is going to be the same thing as saying 0.5 inch. But take note here, we need to convert our inch here to centimeters because we want our centimeter to agree with the centimeter cube right here for the volume. So therefore this here is equal to the equivalence of what? 2.54 what? Centimeters, and this here is equal to 1 inch. And so this is over 1 inch. And once we have this, take note that we have to put our square. So first off, what we do is 0.5 we multiply it by what? 2.54, and this is equal to this value. Now take note here that we need to do the square of that, so we apply the square of the answer, and that is equal to this number, and this number here is going to be multiplied by our 3.14. and once we have this number to be 5.064506, we're going to have our 191 as the volume divided by the answer, and this here is equal to the answer to be 37.71 what? The centimeters. And so this here is the answer for the length of the rod in centimeter, or the height of the rod. And this here is how we are able to accomplish our answer to this question. So overall, I hope you found this really informative in terms of how to be able to relate our variables here, which is relate our mass to the what? To the volume, and then finally to density. And so hope you found this really informative. Please hit a comment down below, let me know your thought about this, but that way we can talk to you all soon. Stay smart as always and keep on practicing.